In 2001, Jay-Z was the king of New York rap. He had the biggest albums. He ran Rockefeller Records. He was untouchable. When Nas came at him with a diss track, Jay-Z laughed it off. He thought Nas was washed up. He thought Nas's career was over. He figured this would be an easy win. Then Nas dropped Ether on December 4th, 2001. The song was so brutal that it created a new word in hip-hop. When you get destroyed by a diss track now, people say you got ethered. 20 years later, rap fans still argue about whether anyone has ever made a more vicious diss track. This is the story of how Nas ended Jay-Z's untouchable status with 4 minutes of pure destruction.
To understand this beef, we need to go back to the mid-1990s. Nas and Jay-Z weren't always enemies. They were both young rappers from New York trying to make it. Nas dropped Illmatic in 1994. Critics called it one of the greatest rap albums ever made. He was only 20 years old. Every major rapper respected him. People said he was the best lyricist in the game. Jay-Z dropped Reasonable Doubt in 1996. It didn't sell as much as Nas's album at first, but it was a classic. Jay had a different style. He was smoother, more business-focused, more commercial. They even worked together. Jay-Z appeared on Nas' album It Was Written in 1996. Nas appeared on the Jay-Z track. They did shows together. Everything was cool. But something changed between 1996 and 2001. Jay-Z became massive. He dropped Volume 2, Hard Knock Life in 1998, which sold over 5 million copies. He had hit after hit. He became a mogul. He started Rocawear clothing. He was making millions. Nas's career went the opposite direction. After It Was Written, his albums didn't sell as well. I Am in 2000 went double platinum, but critics said it wasn't as good as his early work. His 2000 album Nostradamus was considered a disappointment. People started saying Nas had fallen off. Jay-Z watched all of this and he started taking shots. The beef started small. Jay-Z didn't call out Nas by name at first. He just made comments. In 1999, Jay-Z dropped a freestyle where he said he was the best rapper alive. He mentioned that other rappers had one great album and then disappeared. Everyone knew he meant Nas and Illmatic. Then came Takeover in 2001. Jay-Z put this song on his album, The Blueprint. The track attacked multiple rappers, including Nas. He said Nas had a one-album run and was done. He said Nas made songs for the radio to try to get money. He said Nas's career was dying. He brought up real sales numbers, how Nas's albums were selling less and less with each release. But here's what made it worse. Jay-Z used facts. He said Nas dropped Illmatic in 1994 and it went platinum. Then he dropped It Was Written and it went double platinum. Then his sales kept going down. Jay said this proved Nas had gotten worse as a rapper. The most personal shot was about Nas's baby mother. He said Nas was getting angry because Jay-Z had been around Nas's ex-girlfriend. He didn't say her name, but everyone knew he meant Carmen Bryant, the mother of Nas's daughter. This was different from typical rap beef. Jay-Z wasn't just saying he was better. He was using Nas's real life, his real struggles, his real pain as ammunition. Nas had to respond, but nobody expected what came next. On December 4th, 2001, Nas released Ether. The song opened with Nas making fun of Jay-Z's voice. Then he went in. Nas called Jay-Z fake. He said he copied Biggie's whole style after Biggie died. He said he wasn't original. He said he stole from dead rappers because he had no creativity of his own. He attacked Jay-Z's appearance. He attacked his age, saying Jay was too old to still be rapping. He questioned his street credibility. Then Nas brought up Jay-Z's mentor, Jaz-O. He said Jay used to carry Jaz-O's bags and do whatever Jaz-O told him to do. He said Jay was a follower, not a leader. But the most brutal part was when Nas went after Jay's relationship with Foxy Brown. Foxy was signed to Nas's label when she was young. Nas made comments suggesting Jay had been inappropriate with her when she was underage. These were serious accusations that went beyond normal rap beef. Nas also flipped Jay-Z's own lines back at him. Jay had bragged about his wealth and success. Nas said none of that mattered because Jay had no respect. He said Jay sold out his artistic integrity to make pop songs and commercial hits. The song ended with Nas saying Jay-Z's legacy would be that he got destroyed by a better rapper. The impact? Ether hit hip-hop like a bomb. Radio DJs started playing it immediately, even though it wasn't an official single. Bootleg copies sold on street corners across New York. People made their own CDs and sold them. The song spread faster than any diss track in history. Rap fans picked sides. Some said Nas had gone too far. Others said this was the most complete destruction they've ever heard on the track. Message boards crashed from too much traffic. People argued for hours about who won. The word ether became part of hip-hop language. When someone gets completely destroyed in a battle, people say they got ethered. This word is still used today, 20 years later. Even people outside hip-hop noticed. Major magazines wrote about it. MTV covered it. The beef became mainstream news. Jay-Z had to respond. His reputation was on the line.
3 weeks later, Jay dropped Super Ugly. The song came out on Hot 97 in New York on December 27, 2001. Jay went directly at Nas's personal life. He talked about Carmen Bryan, Nas's ex and the mother of his daughter. Jay said he'd been with Carmen. He gave specific details about their relationship. He said he left used condoms in Nas's daughter's car seat as disrespect. This was the moment Jay-Z went too far. Hip-hop fans turned on him. People said, "You don't bring kids into beef. You don't disrespect a man's daughter." Even Jay's own mother told him he messed up. 2 days after Super Ugly came out, Jay-Z's mother made him apologize publicly. He went on Hot 97 and said he regretted the song. He said he let his emotions control him. He said he shouldn't have mentioned Nas's daughter. This was huge. Jay-Z, the king of New York rap, had to apologize. Nas didn't have to apologize for anything. Most fans agreed Nas won the battle. The beef continued for a few more years, but nothing hit as hard as Ether. Jay-Z kept taking shots. Nas kept responding. They went back and forth on radio freestyles and album tracks, but the public had already made their decision. Ether was the knockout blow. When people ranked the greatest diss tracks ever made, Ether was always in the top 3. Here's what changed after the beef. Nas's career got new life. His next album, Stillmatic, went platinum. Critics said he was back. Radio started playing his music again. He got respect back. Jay-Z kept selling millions of albums, but he never looked invincible again. Before Ether, people thought Jay couldn't be touched. After Ether, people knew he could be hurt. The beef officially ended in 2005. Both rappers were performing at a concert in New Jersey when Jay-Z brought Nas on stage. They shook hands. They said the beef was over. They said it was time to move forward. Since then, they've worked together. Nas signed to Def Jam when Jay-Z was president of the label. They've done songs together. They appear at the same events, but nobody forgets Ether. Ether changed how rap beefs work. Before Ether, diss tracks were mostly about saying you were better than the other person. You brag about your skills. You say the other person was weak. Pretty basic stuff. Ether showed that you could go deeper. You could attack someone's entire legacy. You could question their authenticity. You could make people doubt everything they thought they knew about an artist. Nas didn't just say Jay-Z was a bad rapper. He said Jay-Z was a fraud. He said Jay stole his whole identity from Biggie. He said Jay had no original ideas. These attacks were about who Jay-Z was as a person, not just as a rapper. This became the template. When Drake and Meek Mill beefed in 2015, Drake questioned Meek's authenticity. When Pusha T went at Drake in 2018, he attacked Drake's character and revealed Drake had a secret son. When Kendrick went at Drake in 2024, he questioned everything about Drake's identity. They all learned from Ether. The song also proved that you don't need the biggest budget or the most popular beats. Ether was produced by a relatively unknown producer named Ron Browse. The beat was simple. The recording quality wasn't perfect. but the words were so strong that none of that mattered. Content beats everything. That's what Ether taught hip-hop.
So let's go back to 2001. Jay-Z was on top of the world. He thought Nas was finished. He thought this would be an easy win. He was wrong. Nas created a diss track so vicious that it became part of the language. When you destroy someone now, you ether them. That's Nas's legacy from this beef. Jay-Z learned that being the biggest doesn't make you untouchable. He learned that real lyrical skill still matters. He learned that you can have all the money and all the success, but if you get destroyed on a track, none of that protects you. Both rappers moved on. They made more music. They made more money. They became legends. But when people talk about the greatest rap battles ever, they always mention this one. And when they talk about the greatest diss tracks ever made, Ether is always at the top. 20 years later, that's still true. Jay-Z and Nas prove you could destroy someone with just words. No violence, no guns, just bars. But there was another beef where words weren't enough, where the tension got so thick that people thought someone might die. Click this video to see how Tupac and Biggie went from best friends to sworn enemies in a beef that changed hip-hop forever and ended with two of the greatest rappers ever killed.